We grew up in a Christian cult that shaped the way we saw God, people, and even ourselves. Leaving our church wasn't easy, but it led us to something better: truth, freedom, and healing. The McMaster's Chronicles is a place where we tell our story, and hopefully a place for others who've walked through spiritual abuse to feel seen, understood, and not alone. We talk about abuse, recovery, rebuilding faith, and the messy, beautiful process of learning how to live again. You'll also find the everyday stuff: our dogs, cats, garden, and all the simple joys that remind us why life is worth rebuilding. This is the McMaster's Chronicles, our story of healing, honesty, and hope. Join us as we chronicle our life, because recovery is real, and so is redemption.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of McMaster's Chronicles. Again, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Joy.
And we are constantly talking about continually, not constantly.
We're constantly
We're
talking
constantly
about it.
talking
We don't
about
got anything in a life going on.
We're continually talking about our experience at the religious organization that we left about a year ago, a little over a year ago. This is 2025 right now, so if somebody's watching this in the future, we left in August of 2024. So, but a big thing that we want to just help you either still in there or somebody in a similar situation know is that God does care for and loves you if you're the one that is being oppressed and abused.
Yeah.
And you feel like, and I know I can guess how you feel right now because
we felt it.
Because we felt it. Like, you probably feel like, number one, you shouldn't think that way. Mm-hmm. That you shouldn't think that you were being abused, because what does that mean? It means somebody's abusing you. Or you're being mistreated. Right, because then it means that somebody has to be doing that to you, and the people that are doing that to you, you're like, no, they love me, they care for me.
And you can't be thinking negative about them, because if you think negative about them, then that makes you a bad person.
That was the second thing I was going to say, is like being a bad person. Mm-hmm. Like you feel like you're the one that's always got to fix things. You're the one that's always got to change. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not always true.
Yeah. And I think it's important. I have my little notes written down here because I make notes. But like, I think this is an important thing to consider, because if you're being told constantly from the pulpit and Slack and text messages and phone calls and social gatherings, I'm including it all.
In any conversation.
If you're being told constantly, you don't care about God's anointed, you don't care about God's people, you don't care about people around you, you don't care about me, not me, but like,
right. They say that from the
pastor's perspective, like, you don't care about the pastors. Okay, if you're being told that constantly, is that going to create a good perspective of yourself or a negative perspective of yourself? It's going to create a negative perspective. You're going to see yourself constantly not measuring up, constantly being in the bad part of God, not pleasing God. And then, so what kind of becomes confusing is the same people that say you're not pleasing God then will kind of change up their little like tune and be like, but God's a God of mercy and God's of grace, and God's grace covers your horrible sins towards us. But in reality, you're not actually horribly sinning towards them. But anyway.
Right.
But like, God's grace covers. So then you fall more. So then you're like, okay, God forgives me, but I don't want to be in this place again, because when I'm in this place, even though God forgives me, it really sucks. Like, it sucks the life out of you. It's like so bad, like to be in this place and to feel like the whole weight of the world is on you, and to feel like you've completely hurt these people. Can we think about like examples? We need to think of examples of how this specific inflection point, where I can think of a lot of Wednesday nights where this was the case, where the pastor evangelist would get up there and be like, well, souls are aren't being saved because you're not going out.
Basically, people are going to hell because of your laziness.
Did he say that?
It was
something
like
similar to that.
Yeah, it was basically like, because of you dealing with all of your problems and making your problems the issue, people are going to hell because you aren't going out and evangelizing to them.
Yeah, there's that. There was my family. I remember really specific ones before the pastor evangelist was paid. I remember ones where they would be like sob, like the pastor evangelist's wife. I remember being like moved to tears because she was so upset that she had to go back to work. And I remember thinking, like, I got to do what's necessary to help her. I got to help her. And like, you can see other people suffering, like, just they suffered, like, because they live in the world like you. You know,
I just have to say one thing. I know this is kind of a sidebar, but I have to say it because it's a very poignant thing for me in my history there. It's like, I'm going to say this very kindly, but in my opinion, none of those people that are there in leadership know what a hard day's work is.
No. You're going to go there. You're going to go there.
Now, I guarantee you that they've worked long hours and all that stuff. But for them, if they were so sad about having to go back to work and their husband having to go to work, and because their whole point in there was, we're doing so much now. Okay, they're working a regular job that anybody, normal person, works. And they're like, God has called us to be in ministry and to reach souls and stuff like that. And y'all, the congregation, are preventing us from doing that by not providing for us. And so you have to provide for us, basically. Well, I will say that when that did happen, we didn't see a change. You would have thought that, okay, you're going from working 40 hours plus a week to working 0 hours a week, that you would be out there in the fields, witnessing, bringing people in. I only saw one pastor do anything remotely close to that. But you would think that the goal then would be, let's use our time, our 40-hour work week as a pastor, to bring people in, to get the gospel out there, to preach, whatever. Didn't happen. Did not happen. And that, to me, is a very clear sign that this was not a true Christian church.
I think that's a pertinent thing. In this particular case, I do understand if you just had a baby and you have to go back to work. But like, why is that my fault? Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's part of the problem is like, they use the people that care. They use the people that want to do it, that want to care for other people. And they use them to the very, like, the end of that person. Like, that person is used up. We're sucked dry. And like, because they use the people that care. And if you're in there and you care, good news. You're a caring person.
Right.
This whole video is to boost you. It's to boost you up.
Yeah.
Because you care. You care about those people. And that, God will honor that. Yeah. I am a firm believer that God will honor what you have done already, what we have done already in our honest care for these individuals.
Remind me too, what's the verse where it says like, no labor of love is done in vain?
No labor of love is done. And guess what? You're laboring in love. But
they'll try to make you feel like you're not.
But another thing I would like to say is that you're also laboring under fear. And this is where you're not in a safe place. You're not in a good place. Is that you also have a lot of fear. And then they'll try to criticize you and say that fear is not from God. You may not be saved. That fear is just an illusion. That fear is not true. That fear is not really, it's like the pastor evangelist loves to say ungodly fear. And he loves to say how if you have any inkling of normal emotion, that you're lost.
Okay, he says that. He says that. And then he comes up to you after service and lays into you for not providing enough. He's like, this can't happen. This is unacceptable. We have to figure this out right now. And I'm saying this because this actually happened to me and another person. So I'm not like making this up. This is an actual account. And he just gets so furious. But his anger has come out so many times. But that is why you're afraid. But then that same person who just lays into says, why are you afraid?
Yeah, why are you afraid?
You can come to us with anything.
That's called gaslighting, by the way. But
I get passionate about it because it happened.
This whole video, it happened from multiple people too. Yeah. All the time.
It's just really not okay.
It's not okay.
No.
But this video is for you. When you feel that you have done the most horrible thing and you come home crying from being talked to in a circle. They've taught that someone has cornered you. This video is for you. Someone's cornered you and has told you that you wearing a certain kind of earring, or you not responding in a specific way to a text message or Slack post, or you not praising openly enough, or you can add, this is a Mad Lib, okay? Add in whatever thing you've just been told. I can tell you I was told that I was too upset one time because Jonathan broke down in the middle of a message one time, and someone comes up to me and says, how are you doing? And I was like, I'm not okay right now, because he's upset. And then I was talked to after that about how I'm just too depressed. I'm just too this. I'm just too that. I'm just too that. No, I was seeing that what was happening was wrong. Okay? Anyway, side note.
Another thing that, just to add to your list of, you're not going up to the altar fast enough or enough times.
We could add it in, because we know you know what you've heard specifically about you. Specifically about you, and an insult to who you are as a person. An insult. Okay, anyway. Add that in. You come home and you feel, I have sinned against God, when in reality you probably haven't, okay? Just side note. Sometimes, okay, yeah, we have sin. I'm not talking about sin here. I'm not talking about the issue of sin. I'm talking about being a person, okay? Okay, you feel like you have committed the worst atrocity that has ever been committed. You just dropped a nuclear bomb. I'm not kidding. That's how it feels. We deal with deep emotions, because you know why you have those deep emotions? It's because you have a deep care. Okay? You have a deep care, and you're also afraid, because not only does not providing for this person or not treating this person a certain way mean that you don't care for them, and you do care for them. Like, it also means that you could be lost, that you don't love God. So you're scared. You're freaked out. You're freaked out. This is for you. This video is for you in this specific moment. Okay, because I need you to know that God is not afar off. That God is right there. And God is not displeased with you. You need to know that if you have relationship with God, which is kind of confusing to know if you have one in there, because they're kind of constantly saying, "Are you lost? You're saved. You lost. You're saved." If you get angry that you're being mistreated and you're sad about it, or if you're sad one day, that means you could be lost. Anyway, that's called emotional control. That's called emotional control. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I believe that you know deep down if you have a relationship with God or not. I'm talking about that. I'm talking about in there. God is not afar off from you, okay? And you need to know.
I think, it's big, like these things that you have in your notes. It's like, there are so many places in the Bible that show how God takes care of those who are oppressed. God is there.
Number one, you need to know that you're oppressed. Number two, God's there for you. Yes, exactly. I'm just going to read accounts of how God is there for you. In Exodus 3, he talks about seeing the misery of the Israelites in Egypt. And he's heard their cries because of the slave drivers. You have slave drivers. We were enslaved. You are enslaved right now. That's not your fault. I'm not blaming you that you're enslaved. That's a fact. That is the leader's fault. You're not responsible for that. You can accept help, though. You can receive this and receive the help that you need. But God hears your cries. He actually hears the cries of you crying out to him and being confused. He hears the cries of you saying, God, I don't want to miss this. I don't want to miss you. I don't want to be mean to these people. I want to do what you've called me to do. He hears those cries. He hears those cries. He's answering those cries. He will answer those cries that you're praying right now. He will answer those cries that you've prayed over and over and over again in confusion, when you've been hurt, when they have hurt you. He will answer those cries. And he will rescue you. And he heard Hagar's cries in the account Genesis 16, where she refers to God as El Roy, the God who sees me. God sees you. God sees you. In Psalm 34, where the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those that are crushed in spirit. You need to know that God sees, hears, and remembers you. And you need to know that you're being oppressed as well. You need to know that God defends and delivers you. And Psalm 9, he's a refuge for the oppressed, and he's a stronghold in times of trouble. Psalm 72, he delivers the needy, the afflicted who have no one to help.
Yeah.
Been there.
You need to
want
to just say something about this too, is that all of these verses can be used in the place you're at to say, he's like the needy and the afflicted. Well, you're not that way, according to the leaders there. You've been given everything. God's already taken care of these things for you. For you to believe that you're needy and afflicted is wrong. It's like not believing God.
That's emotional control, by the way.
They're the ones that are in need, and they're the ones that are afflicted because they're doing God's work and so they put their needs and affliction onto you, that you have to take care of them. Yeah. No, that's not how it works.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And also just like whenever I was like so beat up from their abuse, from their emotional, spiritual abuse, I would feel like when I would read the Bible, I would feel guilty. I would feel guilty because I'm like, why would God be nice to me if I'm so bad? Why would God be so nice to me if I'm so bad? Listen, God is good. And you also, bonus, you're not so bad. You know what I'm saying? But he's good to the bad too.
Yeah.
But no, I'm talking about the oppressed. You were oppressed. We were oppressed. God says, he will take pity on the weak and the needy and save them from death. He will take pity. And pity not in a bad sense. You deserve help. You need help.
Yeah.
We're here to help you. Like, that is a good thing. Like, God has sent us to help you. Like, I'm saying this to not mock you or make you feel worse about yourself. But this is the truth. This is the truth here. Also, like, just because people are still in there, just because you're still in there doesn't mean you're a horrible, sinful person. It actually means you are being extremely abused, and extreme tactics are taken every day against you and against your personhood. So that's actually what's going on. And if we view the situation the way God sees it, the way God sees the oppressed, and the way he helps the oppressed. In fact, God put himself in the position of the oppressed. I mean, it is God who does that. Like, the whole beauty is that Jesus put himself in our form, in our very flawed form, walked in the earth and experienced extreme distress that we experienced, And he put himself in our place. And when he died on the cross, he forgave our sins. He covered it, and he made a way for us to have hope and a hope for the future and salvation. So that is how God sees it. Then Proverbs 22. Do not exploit the poor, because the Lord will take up their case. The Lord is taking up your case. The Lord takes up your case. He takes up.
I would say poor. So if you're a member of the congregation, you might be poor because you're giving all of your money to the church.
Oh, that's true.
Like if you're giving,
I didn't think about that.
If you're having to give money, like I had to give money outside of just the regular Sunday offering. I had to give money to take care of their houses separately that I would never get paid for. I'm still owed over $2,000 from the pastor emeritus for things that I did. I'm owed way more than that. I'm just saying very specific receipts that I have of things that he said he was going to pay me back for and never did. But if that's an example, there's the poor because you're giving all your money. And there's also the poor in that you are suffering. You're physically suffering. You are not a person in place to do all of the things. But see, it doesn't seem like they care about that, because I was that very much so. I have had 5 open heart surgeries. I've had a lot of things, and they wanted me to take care of their yards. They wanted me to do things that I should not have been doing. And so you might be in a place physically that you're poor, that you can't do that, but they still require those things.
Good news. The Lord takes up your case.
Yeah.
And this is a particular verse that Jonathan and I really it's one we live by.
Yeah.
Isaiah 1:17. Learn to do good, seek justice, correct oppression, bring justice to the fatherless, plead the widow's cause. That's how God actually wants us to conduct our lives, is actually to seek the justice.
And in that chapter, if you read it, he actually is talking to the church who has not been following him.
Yeah.
And he says, this is what you need to do.
This is how you should be acting.
Right.
You're supposed to be protecting. You're supposed to be seeking justice for these people who have been harmed.
Yeah.
Okay? God opposes those who oppress. And he's very clear in Ezekiel 34. He says, woe to the shepherds who feed themselves instead of the flock.
That is a huge one. Because if you want to go back through the history of all of the people in this specific congregation who had given their money instead of their house payment, who had given their money instead of food for their family. Now, should they have done that? No, I'm not going to say, as a father, you need to take care of your family. Like, say no, but that's a different subject.
Saying no,
I know, everything
really
else.
hard to do.
It's kind of hard to to blame them, but I'm saying, like, as a father, you need to take care of your family. But it's really, really hard to do that, because then you're basically giving up your salvation and your eternity and your families, because there's whatever. But also, like, it's always, if you notice, everything ministry-wise, everything practical-wise, everything money-wise, look at who it goes to. Who is all of the attention focused on? It's always, always, always the pastors. And that is exactly what this is saying. He rebukes those that feed themselves. Why are they getting up? Like that one Wednesday night, 2-3 weeks before, why is he getting up telling young ladies, us, people who are not physically well, that they should be going out and spending all their time? Why are they not providing for him? He's a older man who, by the way, is not poor. And not in our knowledge, unless he's used his money very poorly. But, like, why is he doing that? He's requiring of the congregants to feed him when he should be pouring into and feeding them. That's just a side note.
God opposes those who oppress. Ezekiel 34, like we said, Isaiah 10. Woe to those who make unjust laws, to those who issue oppressive decrees. James 5. God hears the cries of the workers cheated by the wealthy. Their wages cry out against their oppressors. I'm sure that's more talking about like business owners who mistreat their staff, but it's very appropriate in the sense of
their wages cry
pastors
out against their oppressors,
who oppress their congregants for more money. Like, it's kind of the same. Okay, Luke 11, this one is a really big one. 11:46. Jesus rebukes religious leaders. You load people down with burdens they can hardly carry, and you yourselves will not lift one finger. One teen-tiny finger.
Okay, I just got to give an example of one time when that happened. We were in a terrible church building, which you remember, the very small one.
Which one? They're all very small.
The COVID one, the last one before COVID.
Oh, that one.
But there was this one time where it's like, we have this need. I don't know how to take care of it. And I go to the pastors. I'm like, can you help me? Nope. They wouldn't even give me an advice. They just said, you have to get it. There's no excuses. If they don't have the money, they leave.
Won't lift tiny finger.
They won't lift a finger. They won't even lift a finger to work.
Tiny finger.
Yeah. Sorry.
Listen, God draws near. God draws near, and he sides with your hurting. He actually sides with you. No, he's not against you expressing these feelings. He's not against you being like he's there. He sides with you. Okay. Psalm 10. The Lord hears the desire of the afflicted. He encourages them and listens to their cry. Luke 4, Jesus declares that this Luke 4 kind of refers to the reason why Jesus came and was called, but it says the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, so it's upon Jesus, because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor, to set at liberty those who are oppressed. That's why Jesus came. Jesus came to free you, to free the oppressed. And Matthew 25, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. He understands what it's like to suffer. And he identifies as the oppressed because he was oppressed. He was just like what all those things that are said about you for leaving, or all the things that are said about us for leaving. God knows what it's like to be like shade.
Yeah, I mean, and everything.
They spat on him.
He has endured and experienced anything that we could have experienced.
Yeah,
in the Bible.
They spat on him.
Yeah,
they said, he came for these bad reasons. They said he came for this, he came for that. Like, Jesus knows. Jesus knows exactly. And God promises restoration and justice. There are avenues of seeking justice in a legal sense through the court systems that we have done and are doing. There is a way that God has ordered justice, ordered it in a ruly and safe manner. God isn't just like, it's nothing, move on with your life. No. Like, God understands, and he works righteousness and justice. So that is a comfort, while you can use the government, because the Bible talks about the government as a vengeance of God's justice and God's judgment. But you can use the government, you can use that, but you can also rest in the fact that there will be righteousness and justice worked by God in his timing. You can know that he will wipe every tear from your eyes, and there's going to be no more death or mourning. And all he requires is that you just walk humbly with him. But he is a God of justice as well. And that's kind of something that people want to skirt past.
Yeah.
Skirt past. No, he provides means in this earthly realm to seek justice in a legal sense.
Yep.
In a safe sense. I'm not saying because you're not taking on the vengeance as your own. But God sees it all. And that's really, really, really important. And you need to know that. You need to know that you are not an abuser. You need to know that you are abused. And abusers are really good at making you feel like you're the one that did it. But you're not the one that did it. You are not some horrible, cynical, horrible person that just only cares about yourself. Actually, abusers use people
who really care,
who have really good attributes, who care for people, who want soul saved, who want ministries started, who want this and who want that. Like, so that is what I have to say.
Yeah. There's a lot there. And I think the biggest thing is to like the foundation for people to accept is that you are being oppressed. And then you can see, how does the Lord help me? How does the Lord there for me? Because you will be told, like, no, you're not oppressed. Nobody's oppressing you. Nobody's abusing you. But you have to accept that fact and realize that in order to be able to receive the help and but you're being oppressed. And one example that I was actually thinking about whenever you were talking is we're doing this video on the birthday of the pastor emeritus.
Oh.
And their tradition has always been for his birthday to go to Ruth's Chris. So it's like him, his wife, and all of his two kids and their husband and wife and stuff like that. That's probably like $1,000 or something. And yet there's a need in the church there for him, that he's not making enough money. These people who are sick, these people who are young, these people who are old are having to go and do all of this work, set up little stands in front of restaurants in order to make money for him. And yet he goes out and does all these things that you can't question, because it's his money. He can do with his money what he wants. Then he can come back and require you to give him more money. That is a sign of being oppressed.
You are oppressed. You are at his you have
whatever
to do everything
he says he needs, you've got to do it. Otherwise, you're not providing enough for him. He's whatever. So that's just if you have questions like that, that's a very legitimate problem that you see, because that I saw that forever. I'm like, how does this make sense? And it doesn't make sense, because he can require whatever he wants of you. But that's kind of our goal, is just to help you see where you really are, and that there is help, that God is there for you, that God is going to take care of you, and we can help be used of the Lord for that. So if you are in this organization or another organization somewhere, reach out to us. We want to be able to help you in whatever capacity we can, or at least provide resources for you to be able to be helped. So you're not alone. You're not going to be by yourself when you leave. You're not going to be in this terrible situation. Again, God takes care of you. And you may have heard that even for your whole life, that God's going to take care of you. God's going to provide for this. God's going to provide for that. And it never happens. Or if it does, it's like for other people, or for, God taking care of you might mean that he's going to provide enough money for you to give to the church for the pastors to be okay. That's not God taking care of you. That's the pastors trying to use you for money. But God legitimately does provide and take care of you, and use people to help you in those situations in your life. So our email is mcmasterschronicles@gmail.com. Send us an email, comment on our post, please subscribe, and we would love to be able to help you, hear from you. And that's all I have. Thank you very much for watching.